This is Rachel Hill for the African American Cultural Gardens Sankofa web series. And in this series, we're going to bring to you some of the most fantastic people in Cleveland who are changing lives, making impacts. One of the things that we also discuss with them is what does Black history and culture mean to them, because that's very important. If we don't know where we came from, we don't know where we're going. And we also talk to them about what do they love about the garden as well. So these are wonderful conversations that we think you should sit down and watch, and you can learn and grow and be inspired, because a garden belongs to all of us and it is so important. But also you need to know about what people in the community are doing to better the community, because we all know that we have better days ahead. Please make sure you stay tuned for all of the episodes in the web series of the Sankofa web series, brought to you by the African American Cultural Gardens.
Bev Lloyd here with the African American Cultural Gardens Sankofa series. We are here at the Word Church with Dr. R A Vernon. Now, we like to introduce you to people who have made an impact to the community, and there's no one that's made more of an impact on Cleveland than Dr. Vernon.
Praise God.
Dr. Vernon, would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, first of all, thank you for coming and spending some time asking me questions. I really appreciate that. I'm a boy from Cleveland, raised in the projects of Cleveland, lived several places. My mother was young when she had me. So I like to say I've lived all over Cleveland, but was reared and raised here in our city, graduated from the best high school in America, East Tech High School. I'm a Scared for life, and married a beautiful girl named Victory Rose, now Victory Rose Vernon. Going on 24 years. We have 5 beautiful children. And I matriculated through Ashland Seminary, where I got my master's and doctorate of ministry. And now we're in our 21st year here at the Word Church. So that pretty much summarizes who I am.
Absolutely. I mean, it summarizes, but you know, Dr. Vernon, we would like to know a little bit about how you came to love Cleveland and what it is about Cleveland that you really love.
I'm asked that question so much. Cleveland has given me everything I have. I'm not sure. I often teach that sometimes the anointing doesn't transfer. Sometimes God blesses you for a place and space. My calling is Cleveland. I've had the benefit of traveling the entirety of the world, preaching all across the nation, but I always come back to cold Cleveland. I know it's cold. I know we don't have the best weather, but I'm a Browns fan, a Cavs fan. And honestly, what God has done through the life of the Word Church, I don't know that would have happened in any other state. So I just have an affinity for this place. I love it. It has a lot of needs, and I just feel drawn to it.
And what does the Black culture mean to you, or African American culture?
Well, in the words of Dr. Cornel West, I love everyone, but my ministry starts on the chocolate side of town. Black people need to be loved. I don't say that just because I'm black. Black people need to be loved. And so they are my primary call. When I was younger, I thought I was going to take care of everybody, every culture, and still there are whites who come here, everyone's welcome. But the longer you pastor, the more you realize that there are only certain whites that are going to come. Don't ask me why, but blacks will go to a white church, but not as many will come to an African American church. I don't know if that's because of the slave mindset, the master slave mentality. Who knows from a sociological perspective? But I do know that my call primarily is to people of color. But I love everybody. Black people have so much that necessitates being loved. Marginalization, criminal justice system. Even now, as we're filming, another black man in Minnesota, I made a mistake and used the wrong gun. He's still gone. So those needs, I was thinking just the other day, as a black pastor, it's almost unfair. The white pastor gets to concentrate on more of the priestly duties, communion, preparation, sermon. We have to do all of that, but we can't afford not to be prophetic and justice-minded. We got to make sure kids eat. We got to make sure. Here I am giving out vaccinations in my church. Even as you and I are sitting here, people are back there getting vaccinated. You'll love this. about 70 to 80% of the people who are walking in are not my color because of fear from the Tuskegee experiment and other things. So here it is, a black church is giving out the vaccine, and the persons I most wanted to get it aren't even showing up. So I'm always fighting uphill because I love my people.
And you mentioned loving your people and all of the challenges that that brings. Your church has one of the largest populations of young people. What do they mean to you, and how do you get them here? They're just coming here in groves, you know.
Relevance. Relevance. Most of us grew up in a church where the pastor was preaching the truth. The problem is it wasn't a relevant truth. You got to hit me where I am. I'm having sex, talk about it. I like to date. I'm sexually confused. I come from a fatherless home. So your sermon speaks to none of that, and yet you're trying to draw me. You're talking about Daniel in the lion's den. I have my personal lion's den. Even recently, young rapper Lil Nas has some 50, 100 million hits on some song about literally lap dancing on the devil's lap. And he slides down a pole to hell and sits on the devil's lap and lap dances. Now, this brother is an open homosexual. He wants people to know that he thinks the video is about homophobia and how most people think that gays are going to hell. He wants to debunk that by saying hell with hell or whatever he's saying, but not to preach about that when all of your youth have Googled that is irrelevant. So you have to pull that up. So, you know, when we first started, I said, listen, at the Word Church, it's not about clothes, it's about souls. And one Sunday I got up, I grew up Baptist here in our city with the 10-piece suit and the fake gaiters and the fake French cuffs and trying to look a certain way. And one day I was looking at TV and said, all of us look alike. I got to do something different. So I got up and told my team, I'm announcing tomorrow no dress code. So we've only asked one thing in 20 years. Don't wear anything disrespectful. Men are still men. Women don't wear tight clothes. Watch what you show. With the exception of that, come as you are, you won't stay as you are. And when young people heard there was a place you could come where you wouldn't be judged, he'd be preaching truth you could feel. I mean, 3 basketball courts don't hurt, 2 football fields, a pool hall. It says we have something for you. We built this place for you. So I think all of that has attributed to young people coming here.
Absolutely. Now, how do you feel about the garden? You've been planting a garden yourself in the city, but how do you feel about our garden, the African American Cultural Garden?
I absolutely love it. Anything that speaks to our history and speaks to who we are and gives a sense of self-identity to our community, it's so needed. Sadly, even my children, we all work so hard to move in quote unquote what Dr. Cornel West calls these vanilla suburbs so our children can go to these great schools. But mention of who we are is not happening in those schools. I have to still be the black historian in our home. They may say a couple of things about Barack Obama now. When I was growing up, 2 pages on Dr. King. And that does not surmise who we are. Where's Fannie Lou Hamer? Where's Daisy Bates? Where is Malcolm? Where is all these wonderful persons that have had so much to do with our history? So I think having a place like that is critical. It makes me proud. And so I appreciate you guys being there.
And you do such a good job of merging that together. Pastor, can you give us your motto? What's your words to live by?
That's a great thing. I've taught my children something. We call them the Vernon 4. The Vernon 4, the VF4, Vernon family. If you come to my home, it's on the wall. As you walk down the hallway toward our area where we exercise, you will see, so that they can see it each morning, the Big 4, the Vernon Big 4. Love God, honor your family, make some money, help those in need. If a person does that, love God, absolutely. Honor your family. To me, honor your family means take care of your children. You don't mess around on your spouse. You honor those that are called your family. and then make some money, because poor people can't help poor people. All we can do is pray for each other. I'm beyond that. The Word Church, that's another thing that distinguishes us. We came out the box saying, who needs some shoes? Come get them. Who's hungry? Who need a car? And couldn't nobody believe there was no catch. It was like, we call it American gangster outreach. The American gangsters used to pull up and just throw turkeys out the back of the truck. We've been doing that 25 years. Word Church is coming. If you need some groceries, do you have to show my welfare card? No. Here's a bike. Here's some shoes. Here. And no one could believe there was no catch. Why? Because they kept giving, which allowed me to give, and we're still giving, because we don't believe that you can do but so much without resource. So I'm not the old school, you know, girl, ain't nobody got no money. Why? That's not cute. Girl, ain't none of us got nothing. You know that. How? Why not? We all having children. We all kicking it. We all doing what we want to do. Did we choose not to go to school? Did we choose not to save our money? Choose not to tithe and help the poor? So my children have been taught, no, we're not going to be the family with no money, because that just makes us normal and regular. We want to be a blessing. So make some money. And then when you make that money, you help people. Now we're going to enjoy ourselves. We're going to live. I've taken my children to, listen, I want them to see the world, Paris, Hawaii. A boy from the projects has worked hard so that my children can see what the average child would not see. But man, do I hold them accountable to help people.
And I know you're a big proponent of education.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely know that. As we wrap it up, Pastor, you know I have to ask you to do this. I need you to give us a word in maybe 1 minute. Would you please give us a word for those who are struggling at this time? I know myself, I was so deflated and depressed when I heard about the recent killing in Minneapolis. And yet then I'm encouraged by wonderful people like Amanda Gorman. But Pastor, give us a word for those who are struggling.
To those that might be watching, this pitiful pandemic, in the words of the African American song, this too shall pass. I'll say to everybody, in the words of Tupac, keep your head up. It is not over. Black people are resilient. We survived the diaspora. We survived Jim Crow Senior and now Jim Crow Junior. We will survive this. Our church is strong enough to come through it. And just know, I'm a person of faith, and my faith tradition is Jesus Christ. In him we live, move, and have our being. So I don't care what you've been through. At the Word Church, we believe you may come as you are, you won't stay as you are. So whatever you have, 2 years from now, if you have no degree, you can have an associate's degree. 4 years from now, you can have a bachelor's degree. 6 years from now, you can have a master's. And in 8 years, if you want to, you could be a doctor. I believe in personal choice. I believe in the gospel of responsibility. So I'm not just waiting on God. I'm working with God so that I can have what God says I can have. I speak that over you. It's going to be great.
Thank you for sitting in with the African American Cultural Gardens Sankofa series, A Conversation with Pastor R A Vernon.
Hello, I'm Carl Ewing, the president of the Association of African American Cultural Gardens. We need your help to complete the African American Cultural Gardens. We learn from our past as we live in the present to secure our future. That's what the African American Cultural Gardens represent, the African American experience. To make your tax-deductible donations, go to aacg.org. Remember, sow a seed and watch us grow. Thank you.
We're excited to bring you Sankofa series, Do You Know? We give you a hint about an individual who has made amazing contributions to the community and the world for the betterment of society. To see if you know. This amazing young lady has developed a vaccine to combat the spread of coronavirus. She made amazing contributions in the field of viral immunology. During this difficult time in our history, she is an inspiration to every scientist. If you guessed Dr. Kismakia, better known as Dr. Kizzy Corbett, you are correct. Did you know?
Thank you for joining us. The African American Cultural Garden Sankofa series. If you know someone who has missed this interview with R A Vernon, you can go to aaacg.org and listen again on demand. We invite you to join us next week as we interview playwright India Burton.